Hey there, it's Drutter. Today's April 3rd, 2020, and it's the 19th day of my coronavirus quarantine lockdown diary. And I'm here in the interior southern part of British Columbia, just a few hours drive inland from Vancouver in a small town. And I've been reporting on what's going on for me and what interesting headlines I see from around the world for the past 19 days. And today I noticed that there are almost 60,000 people confirmed dead now. 219 of those are in Canada and 35 of them are here in British Columbia, so all these numbers are creeping up exponentially, in some places faster than others. I think here in British Columbia we are lucky. We weren't one of the last places to get it, but we weren't one of the first places to get it either, and so we have had a little bit of warning. And we also have a moderately decent healthcare system here, at least. So far it has been managed okay, and most of the people that are getting very sick from this are getting the care that they do need still at this point. They're projecting that that's not going to continue, and that there are going to be people that are going to have to be turned away, or hard decisions made about patients' lives, and they're already training doctors here how to make those hard decisions, apparently. Unfortunately, some more bad news. There are food shortages now announced, confirmed here in Canada. This is on our mainstream media today. This is the CBC, kind of like our CNN, I guess. Take that for what it's worth, of course, but I've been reporting on that and predicting this for a long time, especially ever since the virus news kind of struck, and we saw that people were starting to get afraid of it, and we saw what that meant. And I've been talking about that for a long time, that people are a lot like squirrels. We still have that part of our brain where when we get fearful, we want to hide stuff away and store things. So we buy things, we trade for things, we get things, we earn things, we speed up our process of bringing stuff in and saving it, and we try to use up less stuff. We try to go into rationing mode a little bit and not go through stuff so much when we're fearful. So I think that's happened, and I think a lot of people are in that fearful mode, and that's kind of why we have depressions, because money moves slower in depressions. People, they hang on to it, and it's not moving as quickly. Things, cash becomes king, and prices drop as no one really wants to spend money. And I think there is that pressure now, but there's also that inflationary pressure, because they're talking about printing money. Well, they're not talking about it, they're printing money from thin air. They're creating money from thin air. They don't print it anymore. Literally don't print any of it anymore. There is no money printing anymore. We need to stop using that word. It's just creation in the banking system. And they're talking about people being nutritionally poor. So it's not just a lack of calories, or especially it's not a lack of calories, it's just a lack of correct nutrition, a lack of access to certain vitamins, certain essential fats, and certain essential proteins and amino acids that we just don't always have access to. And a lot of us don't know much about nutrition. In fact, none of us really know a lot about nutrition, because I think in general we don't understand it very well, that well at all, really. But there are things that we can know about nutrition, and a lot of us don't even know those things. So, people are going to be nutritionally poor, not just because they don't have access to it, but because they don't know. And they're not just going to be getting that wide variety of food anymore. They're going to have to pick a few foods with less variety, higher prices. And so even if you're getting enough to fill your belly, you might not be getting enough to keep your health running properly. And then those kind of people are more susceptible, unfortunately, to attacks on their immune system. And the government here has announced $100 million to the bread lines, although they call it the food banks and so forth. But it is, it's essentially government bread lines. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. We do need to keep people eating, but this is not a sustainable thing. And it never has been. This whole, feeding people, just paying people to stay at home and eat, basically, or whatever. It never has worked, and it never will work. We do need to get things back to how they were, back to normal. And maybe not back to normal, but back to something better than this, way better than this. Maybe we can even reverse the clock on a lot of bad shit that's been happening in the past few decades. This is maybe a chance to fix some things, but I think that the powers that be that are currently in control are not interested in that. They have a certain plan for what's next, and it's a cashless control grid economy, basically. I think a lot of people already know that. Don't need to go into it too much right now. But some new modeling in Ontario is out today, and they're predicting 3 to 15,000 dead this year from the virus. And just to put that in perspective, that's about 2 to 10 times worse than the flu, than a bad flu, in fact. So 2 to 10 times worse than a bad flu year is expected here. 2 being the most conservative possible estimate. So yeah, that's disturbing. And they said it actually could have been many times higher than that, but like I said, we got a bit of warning from the rest of the world about what was coming, and we have enacted quite a few social distancing practices, which are getting more and more controversial as the days go by. Yeah, and they're saying up to 2 years now of this. It's not going to last just a few months. It's going to be 18 months to 2 years. And then, of course, that will be extended. So I don't know. They really don't know. And I guess they were breaking it to us gently at first. But those of us that were saying it was serious, that does seem to be more the case, more and more likely. Like I said, I do believe the danger is real. Yes, somebody's taking full advantage of this crisis. Many somebodies. And it may have been planned in advance. I think it probably was. And in fact, they probably also caused it, right? Not just planned in advance, but caused, like this whole thing is a setup, and they're taking advantage of it. Yes, 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 all of that, yes. Absolutely. People come and tell me, wake up, don't you know the government and media are corrupt? It's like, yes, I've been doing a channel about that very topic for 12 years. So I do understand that. But not everything that corrupt people say is exactly the opposite of the truth. We have to figure out if it's the truth or not. And yes, in this case, the danger is real. There is a real virus. It is real. Stop it, people, please. It is real. This is the same bunch of people that did 9/11. You know what's going on right now. This is a power grab. This is their big power grab. But like I've said before, times like this, yes, they're scary and yes, they're terrible, but this is the time when it's almost like a wild card. This is the time when unexpected things happen. I'm sure of that. I'm sure that unexpected things can happen, and some of them will be good, and we have to seize on those good things that happen and maximize them and minimize the bad things that are happening right now, and make sure this all is temporary. This goes back to some semblance of normalcy. In fact, better than normalcy. We want more freedom in our lives, not less. Maybe this will wake people up to the fact that we don't have proper freedom, and we can get more activated, more interested in this, and get more people involved in freedom, and not go the way that this seems to be going. Here in BC, we're giving and providing free opioids and other hard drugs to addicts because of the crisis now. I'll put a link for that down below. And so, I'm not going to here to debate whether that's a good thing or not, because addiction is a horrible thing, and it is a real thing, and I can understand what some of these people are going through, and how hard it must be to find proper drugs right now as everything's falling apart, and cash itself is being removed from society, and, like, I could go on and on about how hard it is probably for these people right now, but I think you probably get the idea or already know. And so, controversial or not, we're providing free opioids and hard drugs to these people now, and shelters and lots of things, stuff that I didn't get as a homeless person in this country, in this province, in that city, Vancouver, 2 years ago, when Medicaid and I were homeless and chronically ill, and at no fault of our own. So these people, yes, they have drug addictions, but here they are totally taken care of. And that, I think, is great in a way, but it's just, it feels unfair the way that these things are dispensed. For example, Medicaid is a cannabis user who has a prescription for it because it saves her from the cancer that she had as a child and as a youth, keeps it in remission, and it keeps the late effects of the radiation and all the surgeries that she had at bay. Keeps her functioning, keeps her a member of society. Without it, she gets very ill and she can die. So she has a prescription that says that, and yet not only is her prescription not covered, but it's made illegal. Like her prescription even is illegal. Like she's not allowed to go to the black market to get what she needs because it's been declared non-essential. In fact, even the legal cannabis market has been declared non-essential. All cannabis shops are closed and you can only order on the internet now, which of course has its own problems. You have to have a credit card, a bank account, ID, internet connection, delivery address. Not everybody in Canada has those. For example, I don't have one of those, right? I choose not to have a credit card, also a bank account. I don't bank. So I don't have some of the things that you need to order online. I can't. They don't take Bitcoin. And I live a cash life. That's my choice. But now I'm cut off from cannabis. Even if I wanted to order that 10 times more expensive than the black market, toxic, low potent, dangerous crap that they sell, no, I don't want it. But even if I did, I wouldn't be able to get it. And all shops have been declared non-essential now. The other day they were declared essential, and there was all jokes on the internet, haha, cannabis is essential in Canada, isn't that funny? No, that's not funny. That's proper. That's correct. It is essential. Many people will die because of that choice. It's not a joke. It's not just about getting high for a lot of people. And Medicaid and I are two of them. So that is affecting us. This is affecting us. And we are scared about our medicine supply, how much we have. And all the sources are gone. Whatever you have is basically all you have now. And how much you can grow. So I'm going to do my best. But that takes 4 months, and it grows a very small amount. So this is a major problem, and the government is involved in everything now. They're getting involved in all decisions, deciding what's important, what's essential now or not. They're basically legalizing the entire economy, the way they legalized cannabis. They're going to be in charge. They're going to decide who has a license to produce, who has a license to ship it, who has a license to sell it and own it, and how much you're allowed to have. They want to have total control over the whole economy. And that's what they're saying. It's right there. It's not a conspiracy theory. That's on the front page of our mainstream media now. This is what a lot of people warned about for a long time. This is what a lot of people talked about for a long time. And it's really frustrating that we got here. And it's like we had no clue that this would happen. But we did. There were people that were talking about it, and they were ignored. And they were hated on. And now it's just crickets and silence from the people that were hating on those people, because they know they were wrong. Those people need to be listened to. They need to be not only apologized to, but they need to be listened to if they're still around. They need to be listened to in the future, because these people have the ability to see patterns and to figure out what's going on. If you don't have that ability, then please listen to people that do. I think a lot of people that on this channel already have those abilities and can see patterns and can see where things are going and have a good grasp of history. Put that all together and you have a little bit of a grasp of what's coming in the future. Now, we need to get the government out of food. That's scary. It's scary. The government has ruined every industry they've touched. Every industry. Nothing. They have never done anything right. Not war, not welfare, not roads, nothing. Nothing. So we cannot put them in charge of our very medicine and our food that's keeping us alive. No. That's a no from me. So I don't know what to do about it at this point, but I just have to say that it's a no from me. That's another one of my lines that's been crossed, and I'm not moving my line. That has to be undone. That has to be undone, no matter what happens with this virus. Talk to you guys tomorrow.